Hello, everybody, and welcome to Church at Home with Rachel. Today's Thursday, the 3rd of October, and as you're watching, I might be on my way home from Saskatoon, or soon will be. Today, again, I'm using Soul Fuel by Bear Grylls, and this one is called Joy, Not Religion. William Wilberforce was loved as much as he was respected. Driven by his faith, he joined with others and campaigned to end the slave trade. It was a long, wild ride, and at times he was said to be both the most admired and the most hated man in England. Jesus was both admired and hated too. And those of us who are trying to live with Christ inside us can expect to face moments of negative reaction. But when we're properly rooted in looking at to Him, those extremes won't matter so much. We have something greater inside ourselves than the opinions of others. We hold the keys to life and freedom in our hearts. Christ brings that to us quietly and with love. He brings joy, never religion. When I was a kid growing up, church services so often were lacking in joy. They seemed to be about rules and sullen voices. No wonder I assumed that God was cold and impersonal. But Jesus wants to show us the truth about what it means to live with Him. I have come that you may have life and have it to the full. John 10, verse 10. When we try to live in Jesus' footsteps, things get put into perspective. The highs and lows that used to turn our heads can begin to lose their power, and the quiet, still, unsung moments can excite our hearts. The joy of Jesus creeps up on us. Finally, perhaps for the first time in our lives, we begin to discover what true freedom really looks like. I am noticing this a lot as a bishop, this idea of joy, not religion, because I don't know the communities very well that I go to see. On Sundays, every Sunday, I'm someplace else. I'm in a new environment, and for the first year or so, it's going to be a while before I repeat visits. Go back and see people I've already met and worshipped with, and so it's not as easy to know, is this a place that it's hurting? Is this a place that's naturally joyful? If there's a priest, they can fill me in on the background, and that's helpful. But lots of places in our diocese don't have a full-time priest or someone who's consistent that they could say, okay, Bishop, this is what you need to know. This is who's who in the zoo, what's happening. So I go in cold. I go in, I take the gospel, I preach, we celebrate the Eucharist. And that's the thing, we call it a celebration when we have Holy Communion. And one thing I'm learning is that there's no right way to do church. Now, I've been like that for a long time. I think that there are ways that are more appropriate than others, of course. Like there's things that go off the rails and things that are too tight to the rails that don't allow the Holy Spirit to be involved. But that being said, my big phrase for my clergy is you do you. There are certain things that I'm going to do as the priest or the bishop in that service that will look different than other people because I'm me. I'm right-handed and I'm blind as a bat without my glasses, and I'm taller than some and wider than some and not as wide as others and shorter than some. But everything's going to be just a little bit different, and that's okay. And we need to recognize that it isn't about what we're doing specifically. It's about what we're doing here that matters. And I think that's the thing. When we think about church, sometimes we think too much about religion. The form and the substance of what we're doing are different. That this is exactly where you have to kneel. This is where you stand. This is where you sit. This is exactly the words you have to say. No, not necessarily. Yes, there's words that we should say. But if something happens that we can't say those words, there are other words we can say. Or if the roof starts to leak in the middle of service and we're having a dripping on the altar, we can move the Eucharist down into a chair, if need be, in the nave where the people are sitting. We don't have to be struck by the rules of the way it looks, by the religion parts of it, about the things that when people look from the outside in, they see. What we want to do is celebrate what people will notice if they look from the outside in and see happening to the people. That's the joy, that's the faith. And that's a really important thing to keep in mind, that yes, church is about learning, it's about education, it's about understanding who Jesus is and coming closer to being able to walk with Him when you're ready. But it's not about the rules. It's not about this is the right way to do it. And all too often in church world, Anglican and all of the others, we fall into that pattern because it's comfortable, that this is what we should do. This is the right way to do it. And when we put in the right way, often we close the windows to joy coming in. We slam the door shut on opportunities for serendipity, for that moment of, wow, did that really just happen that way? That was incredible. Everybody gets it. Joy, not religion. That's what we're here for. That's what we're trying to share with people. That Jesus is about joy, not about the rules and the regulations, because that's what he stood up against. Jesus was born into rules and regulations. He was a good Jewish boy who then realized that it wasn't really about those things. It was about the spirit of those things. And when he started sharing the spirit with other people, the spirit of those things, that's when the church changed. That's when the world changed. So we need to recognize it's not about the religion, it's about the joy. When we find that, we're on the right track. I hope you find your joy today. And I really do hope that you find it within a faith community of some sort. But I do hope that you truly find your joy. Have a great day. God bless. And I'll be back again tomorrow for Church at Home with Rachel.